So now when we're talking about obtaining, the first thing you need to do is when you're obtaining, your financial independence, if you will, developing your plan. You have to have a job, right? That's how you obtain obtain your money, right? So at any rate, so we're going to describe the activities associated with career planning and advancement quite a bit here. So the first thing, the distinction between a job and a career. Jobs are positions that we have in order to obtain money, right? To earn money. It's pretty straightforward. So that's pretty much anything you'll be doing from now on that will involve having a job. But the career part is that when we develop our skill set and so on and so forth, we arrive at that quote unquote job that becomes a career. That's where there's an old expression that's kind of how true it is. It depends on the day, I guess you might say, is that when you're doing something that you love, it's no longer work. There's still work involved, but it's more of a it's that idea is that you're growing into a better job, if you will, a job that is most suitable for you, where you can become very, very efficient, effective, productive, all those wonderful things that are involved with that. So there are trade-offs involved with these career-making decisions. Trade-offs meaning that education, how far do you want to go with your education in order to develop? Do you want to get your bachelor's degree? Do you want to get your, associate's degree? Do you want to get a master's degree, etc.? So there are always going to be trade-offs. There's going to be opportunity costs associated with all these decisions that we do make, right? So career choices and professional development alternatives have risks and opportunity cost, meaning that you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste your resources, and time is a resource. So remember, always considering those opportunity costs. Career choices require a periodic evaluation of those trade-offs related to personal, social, and economic factors. Is it worthwhile to do this? Are you working too many hours? Are you sacrificing, familial bonds? Are you doing things that are detrimental to you in the long run, so far as health concerns, et cetera? All these things that kind of come into play. And is it worthwhile economically when it comes down to it to pursue whatever it is that we're talking about? The skills gap is the difference between the skills needed by the employer and the skills that you possess. This is an ongoing concern, meaning that when we start talking about such things as STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, do we have the analytical skill set in order to meet the requirements kind of going forward, especially when you start thinking about such things as artificial intelligence. This becomes critical. Employability skills are also missing in many potential employees, meaning some soft skills, knowing how to conduct yourself around other people, simple things that are not so simple, meaning things that we develop over time. Some we know these things intuitively, but other things, most things we do learn in life. And all these things kind of flow together, right? Anyhow, so all these things, again, as I said, they flow together. But when we're talking about career training and skill development, these are things that we acquire, through learning. When we talk about learning, there's formal learning in the classroom and there's informal learning on the job training, etc. But when we talk about the level of formal training, that does absolutely affect our financial success. A lot of two different categories you might think about that. One would be the technical sales skills, refers to again to the specific training for your profession. General skills, traits adaptable to most work situations, called social intelligence. And again, this is that distinction between formal and informal training, and there's an expression that CEOs, for example, are they're not born, and you're not born the CEO. You're not going to be the CEO of Amazon or Goldman Sachs or something like that just by walking in the door and saying you want to be the CEO. It takes time. It takes a lot of developing your skill set, even technically, of course, and then there's also those general skills, speaking and learning how to, different soft skills involved in management, etc. So when we talk about formal education, there is a link between educational attainment and the money that you would be earning. So these are old numbers, but bear this in mind that the idea is that a 2-year degree, like an associate's degree, this is on average that we're talking about, and there are the exception is really the rule oftentimes when you start thinking about some people that are very, very successful that don't have a lot of formal education, and there are billionaires out there aplenty that did not have PhDs, for example. But nonetheless, the idea is that this is part of your insurance policy, the education piece. And it's not to say that everyone has to be a PhD, but nonetheless, the more income that you have, the more the more money you will earn over a period of time. In general, this is on average, okay? So 2-year degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, a professional or doctoral degree. And these are weekly earnings, and they're much higher than this. This is an old graphic here, but you get the idea. The more education that you acquire, the more income that you're more likely to earn. Okay, keep that in mind. So you start to wonder about how it is that you arrive at the job that you're going to be, the career, I should say, the career choice that you're going to be making. You're going to be doing this for a number of years. You may again have several different jobs, but if you stay in finance, for example, or if you stay in marketing, or if you opt to be a plumber or whatever, it's something that you would be doing for a longer period of time. So how do we find out what it is that we would like to do? There are a lot of tests that are out there, different aptitude tests and so on and so forth, that we show what our interests are, our personal qualities, et cetera, our aptitude for numbers, for example. There are interest inventories, again, what your personality is. You like to work with others? I mean, this is always the case. Everyone has to work with somebody at some point in time for the most part. But do you thrive in that type of an environment when you're with a group of other people, or are you better off, given a project and doing it on your own and doing your work that way in more in a solitary environment? Do you like pressure? Meaning, are you able to operate under high pressure situations, or do you prefer unstructured or creative work environments, and structured versus unstructured? Again, people thrive in different areas, and sometimes it's not what you expect. Meaning, some people that you wouldn't expect to do very well under high pressure situations turn out to do very well. It kind of depends. So these are things that we should, in fact, as we kind of go along, is we address those things, but we see what actually works for us. So there's the personal SWOT analysis. Again, SWOT is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And as one of my old professors would always say, is that your strength is actually your weakness, and all these things that kind of go along together. And he wasn't joking. He's saying what he was kind of saying is that if you're very good at staying very focused and working on something that could be your strength, where you're single-minded, if you will, Following through, that's a great thing, but it can also be a weakness. So always keep these things in mind. All right. Okay, so once again, we're going through the cycle, right? So to start with, we're assessing our research, assess and research our personal goals, abilities, and career fields, where we're at the moment, for example. Again, and then moving on from that, it would be the next step would be researching employment opportunities that are out there specifically. And then the next step after that would be develop a resume, cover letters, and apply for the available positions. And what's really kind of cool about this third step is that with the advent of artificial intelligence, for example, you can really do some very, very spiffy resumes and cover letters, do a lot of research about companies that really was not available as so readily available, I should say, in the past. So kind of keep this in mind. Don't be afraid of the technology that would be that you can employ to do these things. So the next step is the interview process. When you're interviewing for jobs, practice, practice, practice. Okay, all these things take practice, and this is again an iterative process. We're going step by step, going through this, and it's something that we're going to be doing over and over again, kind of going forward in life. So keep these things in mind. So you've the prospective job, for example, you want to evaluate all the different factors of the position that, if in fact you are actually able to secure to win that job, to get that job, that they want you, right? But make sure that it's the right fit for you. So immediately when you get that job, you start to plan and implement a program for career development within the scope of that job, for example, or within the scope of that company, and also beyond that, all right? And starting back up again with this cycle is that we assess and research personal goals, abilities, and career fields, meaning that you may not be completely satisfied or adequately satisfied or whatever. You might be in the mood for changing things up a bit, right? And if that's the case, you start this process over and again. And this is something that you will be doing this over a period of time in your life for sure.